Hello and a very warm welcome to our session about intelligent intercompany reconciliation and how to set up and operate it with intelligent scenario lifecycle management. My name is Preeti Dhingra. I'm Director Product Management handling lifecycle management topics. And today I'm joined by my colleague Vincent. Vincent, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Vincent Zhang, and I am a line manager of S4HANA Finance Accounting. Our agenda will cover following topics. First, I will give an overview of how artificial intelligence is provided by S4HANA Cloud and SAP Business Technology Platform. Then, I will show you an AI business use case, which is named Intelligent Intercompany Reconciliation and is built on the two platforms. Afterwards, Preeti will give an introduction on intelligent scenario lifecycle management and how it helps the intercompany reconciliation solution with the lifecycle management. Finally, we will show you a demo. Now, first AI on the two platforms. SAP offers intelligent solution in a variety of ways, either embedded into S4HANA or side-by-side based on SAP BTP. The SAP S4HANA embedded intelligent technology can provide moderate machine learning requirements such as forecasting, trending, influence sensors, and so on. For more complex machine learning requirements like natural language processing and deep learning are typically offered side-by-side using the SAP Data Intelligent solution on SAP BTP. SAP S4HANA Cloud for intelligent intercompany reconciliation use a side-by-side machine learning approach. Let's first understand the challenges of intercompany reconciliation. Company A and B belong to the same group. The transactions between the two companies are called intercompany transactions. From group point of view, those intercompany transactions should be figured out and eliminated. Intercompany processing can be a bottleneck at month's end. You cannot create your group-level financial statements if the intercompany transactions have not yet been matched, reconciled, and later eliminated. The challenges are related to, firstly, the fact that this is a high-volume process. Often companies have tons of thousands of transactions needed to be matched. Secondly, if there are any difference like currency translation, for example, the amounts might not be exactly equal, and it can be difficult to figure out which documents match. With SAP S4HANA intercompany matching and reconciliation, SAP has made improvements in document matching, for example, by allowing business users to define matching rules. This new service, SAP S4HANA Cloud for intelligent intercompany reconciliation, adds a machine learning step after the rule-based approach is taken. The machine learning model runs on the SAP Business Technology Platform, and the data flows from the SAP S4HANA to the Data Intelligent Service takes place seamlessly. There is no change for the business end user. They simply will see a higher rate of matching. The rule-based approach works quite well on structured data. Normally, regular business relevant data already explicates the business information in the accounting documents. However, there are lots of cases that the information is not such structured, for example, text in a description field. Then machine learning approach takes the work, which supports complex field relationships and complicated exception cases, and also tries to account for data quality issues. By combining the two approaches, better matching rate can be achieved. Let's talk about how data flows through the various systems involved in the process. At the left, we have external subsidiaries. These are external because their data is not in the S4HANA systems. They can get their data into S4HANA by various ways like API, data upload, smart data access, etc. Subsidiary companies with data already in SAP 4 have their data in the right place. SAP S4HANA intercompany matching and reconciliation performs the matching based on rules. Any remaining unmatched items will be sent to the BTP app. that is the intelligent intercompany reconciliation, and the matched results are returned to ICMR. Between the two boxes exists the intelligent scenario lifecycle management, which manages the lifecycle of the training model. For example, model deployment, activate or deactivate model. It plays an important role in intelligent scenario development, implementation, and operation. With that, I will hand over to Preeti, and will then give a detailed introduction on intelligent scenario lifecycle management. Preeti.
Thank you, Vincent. So let us start by looking at the problem space ISLM is addressing. For any customer to adopt AI capabilities, the quickest and the easiest way is to use out-of-the-box AI capabilities. First step in your AI journey would be to explore out-of-the-box scenarios to get instant business value. SAP has embedded intelligence in SAP S/4HANA directly, where business users can benefit. And once you have identified relevant scenario for your business process, you would further like to evaluate the readiness or the prerequisite to run the scenario productively. This involves making sure all the technical configuration is in place, quantity and the quality of the available data meets the required prerequisites, and so on. The next phase then would be to train the ML model for the business consumption with the customer data. And during the productive usage, business admin needs to monitor and keep track. All of this is an iterative process. So these problem statements are some of the typical challenges faced by customers during the initial adoption and operations. Now let's talk about how ISLM addresses these challenges and facilitates adoption of AI. ISLM is a framework that allows you to perform lifecycle management operations on ML scenarios in SAP S/4HANA. ISLM is the single entry point within the S/4HANA stack to efficiently integrate and operate ML scenarios. It is delivered with basis component and it's part of the standard S/4HANA licenses. ISLM is available with both on-premise as well as the cloud solutions. So from releases SAP S/4HANA 2020, FPS 0, and SAP S/4HANA Cloud 2011. So these are the minimum release requirements. ISLM offers comprehensive support to build and operate intelligent applications built on various technologies and platforms. It supports both embedded and side-by-side flavors. The embedded approach has been available with S/4HANA. In this approach, the business application, which is S/4HANA, runs in the same stack as the ML provider, which are SAP HANA ML libraries. This approach can be used to solve relatively simpler use cases for forecasting, clustering, trending, classification, and so on. The second flavor is side-by-side scenarios where the remote ML can be used for high-end use cases such as image recognition, sentimental analysis, deep learning for natural language processing, and so on. As we can see in this picture here, various types of platforms are supported. For example, ML services provisioned via SAP BTP, ML model based on SAP DI are supported. SAP AI core scenarios are supported for internal usage for scenarios shipped by SAP. ISLM also supports AI business services based scenarios. In addition, ISLM supports SAP delivered as well as custom created scenarios. So you could use out of the box ML scenarios, or you may choose to extend existing applications, for example, with SAP AI business services, or you could create your own ML content, for example, with SAP DI. So whatever path you may choose, whether it is using embedded ML or extending business applications or creating your own ML content, ISLM is your one-stop solution for all these approaches. Now let's talk about the key benefits and capabilities that ISLM offers. So ISLM comes with powerful SAP Fiori applications, intelligent scenarios, and intelligent scenario management. Functionality to create and also to manage the life cycle is delivered through these SAP Fiori apps. Easy integration is one of the key benefits of ISLM. ISLM facilitates embedding AI into business application with a low-code approach. ISLM runs in the context of business application, and it is intended to be used by non-ML experts. ICR is a remote ML scenario where ISLM enables easy integration of a BTP-based ML service. You can perform lifecycle operations, for example, training, retraining, schedule training, deployment, as well as activation of the model that should be consumed by the business application. Support users can check the logs for training and deployment, and we are further enhancing capabilities. For instance, we support online and batch inferences, process of deprecation of intelligence scenarios, also now supported in ISLM. Change management during productive usage is also much more streamlined with ISLM with an additional step to activate. So our objective with ISLM is to mitigate some of the challenges or obstacles hindering adoption of ML capabilities. And how do we do that? So let's take a closer look at some of the capabilities. So for our customers, ISLM acts as a single entry point during exploration or discovery phase. So customers can leverage extensive capabilities to explore out of the box scenarios, check additional context, and consuming business application. You can very easily get all the information that you need to get started, such as scope item, SAP Fiori apps of the business application, and relevant links to the SAP Help portal. To check the prerequisite or the readiness, we have the ability to perform prerequisite checks. ISLM is the only tool that provides customers with the possibility to check whether the intelligence scenario will run successfully in their environment. With the intelligence scenario management application, you can train the scenario to create a trained ML model for the business consumption. Also, you can schedule a training for your intelligence scenarios. Support users can check the logs for training and deployment originating from remote ML providers using ISLM. ISLM provides customers control over productive usage with an additional step to activate. ISLM supports local activation, which helps users to test the prediction. And once user is satisfied with the outcome, the scenario can be activated for productive usage. This step enables to specify the appropriate train model to be used in the consuming application. So before we take a look at the demo, I'd like to briefly talk about the overall process. So the picture here depicts three key parts involved: the ICR service that uses SAP AI technology and runs on the SAP BTP. ICR_service is the intelligence scenario in the ISLM layer, which binds the business application intelligent intercompany reconciliation in SAP S/4HANA with the BTP service. The process consists of three phases on a broad level. The first step being the initial discovery and setup, which includes provisioning of the service in BTP, then activating the scope item and establishing connection between intelligence scenario and the ICR service instance. ISLM generates connection information and sets up connection for ICMR machine learning apps so that the transfer of data can take place. ICR service supports batch inference, which is asynchronous inference and deals with huge amount of data. Here, ISLM supports in easy integration by polling the inference execution, downloads the results, and once it is ready, notifies the application. ISLM provides ABAP APIs for easy integration, and all of this is realized with minimal coding via ABAP APIs provided by ISLM. Now, once the connection is established, the next step would be the MLOps, where models can be trained with customer data and quality of the metrics can be analyzed. And finally, the business admin can deploy and activate the trained model for inference consumption in the business application. So with this overview, let us start with the demo. The intelligent intercompany reconciliation comes with the machine learning capabilities to further match the items that remain unassigned after the rule-based matching. Let's start as a reconciliation accountant who matches intercompany documents on a daily basis. I open the reconciliation status overview to check the status of my companies. The matching status for company 1010 is initial. I can then navigate to the balance details. The details screen shows the difference between companies 1010 and 1710. So I navigate to the Manage Assignments app. There are too many items that haven't been reconciled yet. By choosing the button Auto Match with machine learning, the system matches and reconciles the items automatically. A matching job is launched. Let's look into the details of the intelligent processing in the next chapter. The ICR service uses SAP AI technology and runs on SAP Business Technology platform. It infers the matching results from the model trained with company's historic data. The inference results are displayed in the Manage Assignment app. Here we are in the S4HANA system. As a business admin, I can navigate to ISLM apps. ISLM comes with powerful Fiori applications, intelligent scenarios, and intelligent scenario management. Intelligent Scenario app is the single entry point within S4HANA system to discover, create, and explore intelligent scenarios. We can see all the out-of-the-box SAP delivered scenarios to get instant business value. We can filter scenarios based on LOBs. Here, I'm interested in finance, sales, and procurement. We can see the ICR scenario here. To get started with the ICR use case, I would like to get some more information. I can easily find details such as Fiori app IDs, scope item, and also the link to the help documentation. From here, we can drill down to further details. We can find the scope item to be activated for the use case. We can see the business benefits. We can also see the communication scenario to be used to set up the connection between intelligent scenario in S4HANA and the ICR ML service in BTP. We can directly navigate to the Help Center documentation from here, where we can find all the relevant information to set up and consume the ICR use case. ISLM posts the latest status of training and inference. ISLM helps in the connection setup. ISLM itself connects to the ICR service to deploy and activate training models. Let us now switch to the BTP cockpit to see the steps in BTP. We need to subscribe the ICR service and create service instance and service key, which contains client ID, authentication details, and so on. Now I log in as administrator to create a new communication system. Here we need to specify the system ID and name and click on create. Specify other details such as API endpoint, authorization endpoint, and token point from service key. The supported authentication mechanism is Auth 2.0. Specify client, client secret, and click on create. Now I can review and save all the details. Next step is to create a new communication arrangement. For that, we will enter a name and select the communication scenario. We can now check and save the connection. To enable ML model for the given matching method, I log in as BPC expert and access manage your solutions app. Now I go to the configuration solution step and enable machine learning for the given matching method and save it. Let's start with the training phase, which could be executed quarterly or yearly. I log in as the reconciliation accountant and enter the app schedule training job. Here I can define parameters for the job, for example, the fiscal year period start and end. Here I will leave the company field empty to involve all the companies and schedule the job. Once the job is scheduled, I can open the job log, and here we can see that the data is sent to the AI server in parallel and the training is triggered immediately after that. I can also go to the app machine learning monitor to check the training status. I execute the application and I can see that the training is in initiated state. I then log in as the analytics specialist to check, deploy, and activate the training models in ISLM. In the Intelligent Scenario Management application, we can monitor the training status. Here we can find and open the ICR scenario and check the training status. Once the training is completed, let us check the details of a trained model. We can check details such as accuracy of the train model and decide whether to deploy it. In this case, I'm satisfied with the accuracy, so I will go ahead and deploy it. Once the deployment is completed, we can activate a deployment to consume the prediction in the consumer business application. ISLM provides customers control over productive usage with an additional step to activate, which allows to choose appropriate train model to be used in the consuming business application. So here I select a deployment and click Activate. After the training step, we can now run machine learning inference, which could happen daily or ad hoc. I log in as the reconciliation accountant and access manage assignments app. I choose ML enabled method and enter company 1010. Click Go to show the unmatched intercompany transactions. I just click the button Auto Match with ML. The system sends all the unmatched transactions to the machine learning service on BTP and runs the inference. We can now monitor the status of the inference run. Typically, as a business user, you don't need to check the status in the monitoring app, which is typically for identifying any errors. In the ISLM app, we can monitor the status of the batch inference request. You can monitor the inference request in the Inference Request tab. We can see details such as status, user details, training, parameters, artifacts that are associated with inference. As a business user, I just need to click Check Results in the Manage Assignments app. Once the inference run is complete, the result is sent back and the data gets refreshed. We can find the machine learning generated assignment listed at the bottom of the table with reason code SX1. Let us check the details of one of the assignments. We can see the confidence ratio and the transaction items that are matched because of the similar item texts. To learn more, you can find links for further information on ISLM as well as ICMR here. Please check ISLM SAP community topic page where you can find replay links to webinars, blogs, podcast sessions, and all the latest news and announcements around ISLM. I'd like to invite you to participate in our virtual TechEd usability testing sessions on ISLM. So do sign up to learn and test enhancements in ISLM. We encourage you to explore and continue your learning and benefit from various offerings. So thank you for joining us today. You can reach out to us for any queries or feedback and enjoy the rest of the TechEd. Thanks again.